Hey everybody, tonight we are building Kaalia of the Vast. We are going to be playing angels, demons, and dragons, and we're going to be plopping them out for free with Kaalia's attack trigger. Kaalia herself is a human cleric. She is a 4-mana legendary human cleric. With flying, she's a 2/2, and she says whenever this thing attacks an opponent, you may slap down an angel, demon, or dragon for free. And it enters tapped and attacking. It is one of the most popular commanders ever printed. There are so many spicy bombs in these creature types, dragons, angels, and demons. Hey Tyler, how's it going? Oh, I gotta see how this compares to my list. Hey Tyler, I'm BGM. I'm taking suggestions. We do live deck building here, and if you have a suggestion for our Kaalia the Vast deck, please put it in the comments, and all the comments will be compiled into a Moxfield deck list of viewer suggestions that y'all can check out via the link tree. And I think that this spicy new dragon for $20 does a lot of damage. It's a 5-mana dragon, 3/5 flyer, and if a source you control will deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals double that much damage. This thing was just printed in Foundations a couple weeks ago, and it says that you have to do half the work that you would normally do to end a commander game, because this dragon's going to be making everything deal double damage, and if you plop Kaalia out early, you can plop down the Twin Flame Tyrant with her attack trigger. Hey everybody, if you have any suggestions for a Kaalia the Vast deck, please put it in the chat, y'all. Scooby Doofin, how's it going? Oh god, I hate this so much. This is one of my all-time least favorite ways to lose. And I knew as soon as I picked Kaalia, I was going to relive this trauma. If you guys are unfamiliar with this Master of Cruelties and how it works with Kaalia, let me give you some bad news. This 5-drop demon first striking, death touching 1/4 that can only attack alone. Whenever this thing attacks a player and isn't blocked, that player's life total becomes 1. Master of Cruelties assigns no combat damage this combat. This thing is yikesy. Kaalia can slam this down early, and if you don't have blockers for it, you're gonna lose. I'm pretty sure I normally lose when this thing hits me and reduces my life total to 1, because it's normally not the only thing attacking unless it's already been on the battlefield. But Kaalia slaps this thing down already attacking, so it's normally gonna kill somebody the turn it enters on the Kaalia trigger. It is yikesy. Karlach Fury of Avernus is a beautiful card. I love it. I love her in Baldur's Gate 3. She is a Baldur's Gate 3 companion, and she is the best girl, hands down. Karlach is the best. She's also kind of expensive. This D&D art version is $12, but the normal art version is $20. It's a 5-mana Tiefling Barbarian. Unfortunately, Karlach is not a demon, an angel, or a dragon, but she does give us an additional combat, and that's good enough to get additional Kaalia triggers to slam down more free bombs from our hand. She's so good. She is so good. She's amazing. And also, if you get multiple... I don't know about y'all, but most of my decks win through combat damage. And if you get additional combat steps, that means that you're going to win the game twice as fast because you're getting 2 combat steps instead of 1. Karlach's amazing, and she's also the best companion in Baldur's Gate 3, and I will fight you. Hell yeah! Houdini, how's it going? Jackie says Master of Cruelties doesn't work because it enters attacking. It doesn't attack. Well, thank you, Jackie. I guess I resolved that incorrectly. I'm about to play my Kaalia. I hope you have a good time, Ash Lickens. Your username got me, Ash. Aurelia is rad. Let's talk about Aurelia. Aurelia, the war leader, is the... I think she's the 7-drop, right? Yeah, of course she's the 7-drop. Excuse me. Yeah, 6-drop. This thing is a flying, vigilant, hasty angel 3/4. And when this thing attacks for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control, and you get an additional combat step. And the additional combat steps really are the way to just close out a game with our commander tonight, Kaalia. Because Kaalia's ability to slam down a free angel, demon, or dragon is on attack trigger. So if we get multiple combats, we can get multiple attack triggers and pop out multiple free big bombs onto the battlefield with Kaalia's effects. And Aurelia just says we'll get those twice as fast with those multiple combats. Miko Garcia says, want stuff like overpowering attack. It is. Yeah, overpowering attack is from the Assassin's Creed expansion. And every time I bring up a red deck on live deck building, people love this card. It's $2.50. It's a 5-mana mono red sorcery. And it says, untap all creatures you control that attack this turn. If it's in your main phase or an additional combat phase after this phase, followed by an additional main phase. Again, getting multiple combats, getting multiple triggers off Kaalias is going to win you the game real quick. Also, it has free running. So if we deal damage with our commander, we can cast this thing for its reduced mana cost of 3. It's a good time, y'all. It's a good time. Tyler says, I'd suggest my fave Angel, Dragon, and Demon to run. Angel of oh god, Angel of Destiny makes me so sad. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm not a big fan of Kaalia as a deck because it has things like Angel of Destiny and also Master of Cruelties. Angel of Destiny is a 5-mana, $9, 2/6 flying double striker, and it's complicated. We'll get into it. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each gain that much life, and at the beginning of your end step, if you have at least 15 more life than your starting total, each player this thing attacked loses the game. So it's a lose the game trigger if you have 55 life. And this thing will gain you the life off the trigger of dealing combat damage. So you can still deal commander damage effectively with an Angel of Destiny, but you can't reduce their life total to 0, typically with this thing, because you're going to be winning with its target player loses the game when this thing resolves. It's crazy. It can also kill multiple people because the effect is on an end step trigger. It is not my favorite way to lose, I tell you what. Lisa the Forgotten Archangel. Liza, the Forgotten Archangel is a 5-mana Orzhov 4/5 flying lifelinking angel. And whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. And if a creature an opponent controls would die, it gets exiled instead. It's a rad little angel. It's a bit of graveyard hate on aristocrat strategies, because it prevents them from filling their graveyard. Tyler, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. This thing's rad. It's $4.50. It's got a cool art. I think this is from Midnight Hunt. Please correct me if I'm wrong. It's cool. I've seen quite a few Lysa decks. Oh, Dream Demon says Malfigor. Malfigor. I don't think I'm familiar with Malfigor. Malfigor is a legendary demon dragon. He's 2 things. He's a 6-drop. He's a 6/6, and he flies. And when he enters the battlefield, we discard our hand, and each opponent sacrifices a creature for each card discarded this way. Okay, that seems somewhat punishing to me. Well, actually, because we control... Well, nope, we discard our hand. Guys, we discard our hand. I want you to be really careful when you play with Malfigor, because you're going to lose your hand, and then you won't be able to pop things out with Kaalia anymore. But if you do discard your hand, and if your hand is fat and juicy, you're going to have a one-sided board wipe for your opponents, unless they have, like, an obscene amount of tokens. Cool little card. You do gots to be careful, though. Mville7 says Drana and Linvala. Drana and Linvala are quite cool, and they are also somewhat mean. Drana and Linvala. It's a demon. Excuse me. It's a vampire angel. This thing was printed in March of the Machines. It's $6. It's flying, lifelinking, and it's a 3/4. And activated abilities of creatures your opponents control cannot be activated. Activated abilities are anything that has a cost, a semicolon, and then the thing you want to do. So tapping effects, creatures that you tap to add mana, or tap to do a thing, those are also activated abilities. And Drana and Linvala are really interesting because it gains those abilities by removing them from all of your opponents. It's a bit of a stax piece. It can be somewhat oppressive, but it's a cool card, and also the art is quite rad, and also they're a vampire angel lesbian couple. I don't know that for real. That's just my headcanon. Thank you so much for the follow. Darth, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. Hey guys, if you have any suggestions for our Kaalia the Vast deck, please put it in the chat, y'all. Red Lemming says a Sunforger. Let's talk about a Sunforger. Sunforger is a rad card. Yeah, Gisela Blade of Gold Knight is rad. So Sunforger's cool. It's a 3-drop little equipment in Boros colors. It's got an activated ability that we can unattach Sunforger, search our library for a red or white instant card with mana cost 4 or less, and cast it. This thing's really cool. This gives you access to all the best pieces of interaction in your deck. And Noquar says Gisela Blade of Gold Knight. Gisela Blade of Gold Knight is rad. It is the 7-mana Boros Angel, and it says that we deal double damage and that we only receive half the damage. It is a commander staple in Boros colors. This thing makes you do half the work to win the game because you're dealing double damage with all your sources with this thing. It's crazy, it's rad, and I've lost to it several times. Tim says Grizzlebrand. If Grizzlebrand is banned, it's not going to come up. I'm sorry, I think Grizzlebrand is banned. Dragon RX 50 says Nether Void. Nether Void. Hey everybody, I'm BGM. I use green screen effects to make silly little MTG content here on TikTok, and we're doing live deck building. We're building Kaalia the Vast. I want to know what y'all would put in Kaalia the Vast. Put it in the comments. And if your card gets talked about, it'll be put into a Moxfield deck list, and y'all can check out all the viewer suggestions via the link tree. This is Nether Void. It is $650, and it's definitely within proxy territory for me. This thing says that all spells are cast, are countered, unless they pay an additional 3 mana. It's a black 4-drop enchantment, and it makes me sad. So I guess the reason that this was good in Kaalia is because we're going to be slamming things out with Kaalia's trigger. So this is just a stax piece for our opponents. Ethan, yes, we talked about Ethan, Master of Cruelties was the very first card we talked about. Okay, let's talk about Gisela, the Broken Blade. The Broken Blade. Is this the moldy one? The meldy one. Okay. This is, yeah, it is the meldy one. It's $25. It's a 4-drop mono white angel 4/4 flying first strike lifelink. And at the beginning of your end step, if you have her battle buddy, you merge them into this 9/10 flying first striking vigilant lifelinking Eldrazi angel. And your opponents can't cast spells with CMC 3 or less. It's cool. It's got a lot of relevant keywords. This is the secret lair version for the fancy art. And I also think the normal version is still pretty pricey as well. Oh my god! Evan, you are 10,000% correct. Ishin, this is where Ishin belongs. If Ishin's not the commander, he belongs in this deck, and I'll tell you why. If a creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent we got to trigger, we get an additional trigger. And Kaalia's Kaalia's ability to slam down free dragons, angels, and demons are triggers. And if we pop down Ishin, we're going to be slamming down 2 free, juicy creatures every turn. It's going to be a good time. The main problem with that is that we're going to run out of cards. Thank you, Andrew, for the follow. I appreciate it. GodX Deleted says, if you don't have Lord Xander... Let's talk about Lord Xander. I don't have Lord Xander. We'll talk about him. Uh-oh. Is Lord Xander... Can I please get a spell check on Lord Xander? Fatal says the first commander deck I made was Kaalia. I know, a lot of people have built Kaalia. Kaalia is still a very popular commander. I don't think Kaalia is banned because it wouldn't come up if it was. Miko says Heartless Hidetsugu. Heartless Hidetsugu is a great way to end a game and also make me not want to play with you. Heartless Hidetsugu is rad. Is it banned? No, Heartless Hidetsugu. Here it is. It's a 5 mana Ogre Shaman $2.50 4/3, and you tap this guy, he deals damage to each player equal to half that player's life total, rounded down. If you double up this activated ability, you just kill the table. This thing's rough. If you see it pulled out against you, you're going to have a fast time, but also a bad time. Xander the Collector. Is Xander the Collector blue? If Xander's blue... Yeah, I think Xander's blue. Okay, Lev says Armageddon. We do, unfortunately, gotta play removal, and Armageddon's pretty good. It's kind of the standard at 4 mana for a board. Whoa, okay. I was thinking of Wrath of God. I would like to rescind everything I just said. Armageddon says destroy all lands, and I guess the reason you would want to play it in a Kaalia deck is because we're going to pop things out for free with Kaalia. But, where's my shame stick? Someone must be shamed. How dare you? How dare you suggest mass land destruction in my stream? Thank you for the suggestion. I don't like it. Can someone please block me? What's wrong, Tim? Angelic Arbiter. Angelic Arbiter. Angelic Arbiter is an angel. It's a 7-drop. It's a 5/6 flyer. And each opponent who casts a spell this turn can't attack. And each opponent who attack can't cast. I love it, kind of. Because it's like... So this thing doesn't say that you can't play Magic. And a lot of Stax pieces say that you can't play Magic. But this one says you have to choose. And for that reason, I'm okay with this Stax piece. I'm normally opposed to all Stax pieces in Casual Commander. I don't think they make for good experiences. But this one I don't hate because there's a choice involved. Exalted Angel. Hey Caleb, how's it going? Caleb says Exalted Angel. Exalted Angel. Okay, we got ourselves a little 6-mana, 4/5 flying angel. Thank you, Chris Brown, for the follow. I appreciate it. Whenever this thing deals damage, you gain that much life. Okay, so what's... Okay, there's one of my favorite mechanics in Commander, or just Magic in general, is this. When this thing deals damage, you gain that much life. That's normally how lifelink works, but this is not keyworded as lifelink. So if you find a way to give this thing lifelink on top of its ability, it'll gain you twice the amount of life. And that's a good time, especially in a life game deck that wants to be gaining large chunks of life at a time. Hey Miko, we talked about Karlach, Fury of Avernus earlier. Karlach's rad because they give us additional combats, and additional combats will mean additional Kaalia triggers. So we're going to talk about a Hellkite Tyrant, because we already talked about Karlach today, pretty recently. Here's Hellkite Tyrant. It is $7, and it's 6 mana. It's mono red, and it's a dragon. And it says Flying Trample. When it deals combat damage to a player, you get all their rocks. You steal all their artifacts, and they're yours now. And at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 20 or more artifacts, you just won the game. I've lost to this card a lot. I lose to this card I still lose to this card. I lose to this card all the time. Also, if you are in, like, I don't know, if you're playing outside of green or black, and you're using primarily Mana Rock Ramp, getting hit with this thing will just end your game, in my opinion. Like, losing all your rocks to one swing of this thing, and if Kaalia plops it down as if it enters tapped and attacking, as if it had haste, and you just suddenly lost all your rocks, bad times. Highly recommend picking mature opponents if you're going to do that to them. Oh! Blood Sky Sire. Let's talk about a Blood Sky Sire. Blood Sky Sire is... Wow, okay, this is a rad art from Kaldheim. This thing is $7. It's a Demon Rogue 2/3 Death Toucher for 3 mana. It has Boast, which is an activated ability that you can only do once per turn. Target player searches their library for a card, then shuffles the library, puts that card on top of it. This thing is rad. It lets you tutor. It lets you Demonic Tutor every turn. Excuse me, not Demonic Tutor, because it's putting it on top. Not Demonic Tutor. It just puts it on top. Josh, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. Hey everybody, we are doing live deck building tonight. I am BGM. I use green screen effects to make silly little MTG edits here on TikTok. But if you put a suggestion for our Kaalia deck in the comments and I talk about it, you can see all the viewer suggestions I talk about on my Moxfield page. And thank you guys so much for all the viewer suggestions and hanging out with me tonight. Let's talk about something awful we can do to people. This is called Blood Moon. This version's $9, and it says that multicolored decks have a really bad time because it turns off all multicolored lands because they're not basic, and it turns them into mountains. And if you're playing like a 5-color deck and you suddenly become flooded with red, you probably won't be able to cast anything at all. I don't love Blood Moon. I don't love Blood Moon. I don't think it's fun. It's undeniably an effective card. It's undeniably going to help you win. and it's going to be an impactful card, but I like the people that I play with to have an enjoyable experience when I play Commander. Okay, so we talked about this one already. This is a 7-mana, 5/6 flying angel, and each opponent who casts a spell this turn can attack, and each person who casts a spell can attack, is what I said twice. But what I meant to say is that each person who attacked can't cast spells. I think this is a fair stacks piece because it puts the choice in the player's hands, and it doesn't prevent them from playing entirely. Thank you, Garrett, so much for the follow. Dead says Dragon's Tempest. Dragon's Tempest, I typically think of when, like, in a pure dragon tribal deck, it's one of the best cards possible in a dragon tribal deck. It's 2 mana, it's a red enchantment, and it says that I think dragons have haste, and that something else. It says, I think it does damage too. Dragon Tempest. Where the hell is Dragon Tempest? Okay, Dragon Tempest, not Dragon Okay, Dragon, singular. Singular Dragon Tempest. Thank you, chat. Here it is. Okay, we got there, chat. This is an $11 2-mana mono red enchantment, and it loves dragons. It gives them haste. And whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, it deals X damage to target creature or player, where X is the amount of dragons you got. We could break this thing wide open in a Kaalia deck with a Mycosynth Lattice or something else that manipulates creature types. Heather, thank you so much for sharing my live. I appreciate it. Shattered Angel. Hey, Pup, good to see you. Dread Demon says Shattered Angel. Is this the Orzhov Angel that, like, went full Britney and shaved itself bald? I think it is. Nope, it's not. This one's actually just scary. This is a 5-mana mono white Phyrexian Angel 3/3 flyer. And whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, we gain ourselves 3 life. I like this a lot. I think this could be really cool in a life gain deck that cares about having life gain triggers on other people's turns. I think this card would be great for that. Also, 3 life is a chunky amount of life to gain, and if you still have 3 opponents and they're all playing lands, you're going to be gaining 9 life per turn cycle, and that feels really good to me. I also love that this card is 50 cents. It's a flying blocker on top of all that. Actually, I love this. I might have to buy it. This is a great little bulk uncommon. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you gain yourself 3 life. That's a potential 9 life per turn cycle. I like that. Good suggestion. You could also go Scorched Earth with Desolation Angel. Let's talk about a Desolation Angel. I am unfamiliar with Desolation Angel. Uh-oh, it's a mono black 5-drop 4/5 angel with a double white pip kicker cost. And when this thing comes into play, you destroy all lands you control. If you paid the kicker cost, destroy all lands instead. Okay. I don't know who hurt you. And I'm going to ask you not to play this with me. I don't like it. Guys, I'm not a big fan of mass land destruction at all. I don't find that it makes positive experiences with other human beings. But thank you very much for the suggestion. Tex-Mex21 says Crux of Fate. Okay, this is a board wipe I can get behind. I love Crux of Fate. This thing is a board wipe, but it's selective. It says, choose one, destroy all dragon creatures or destroy all not dragon creatures. And this is amazing, because there are so many dragon tribal decks. There are dragons that are relevant in every color of Magic, and there's almost a dragon tribal commander in every wedge of the color pie. This card is always good, in my opinion. I love it. If I had a bunch of copies, I would play it in every deck that plays black. Because I promise you, there's going to be a dragon, and it's usually going to be a problem. Or, there will be things that are not dragons that are problems. Oh, Andrew, okay, so we talked about Master of Cruelties when we first went live about half an hour ago. So I think it's been enough time for us to talk about Master of Cruelties again. This thing's complicated, and I guess I've been resolving it wrong. Chat, or Kaalia players, if you guys are fans of Masters of Cruelty, I've been resolving it wrong. So my understanding was that the way that Kaalia works with Master of Cruelties, Kaalia attack trigger slams down the Master of Cruelties. By the way, the Master of Cruelties says, when it attacks and isn't blocked, and the target player's life total becomes 1. And it deals no combat damage. So it's going to kill the player because when it... Or the way that we've been resolving it with my friends, which I suspect is incorrect, is that Kaalia slams this thing entering, tapped, and attacking the same player that Kaalia is attacking, and then that player will just die when... Yeah. But someone in chat told me that was wrong. Also, I'm not a judge, y'all. Yo, I agree. Giada would be queen. Let's talk about Giada. Let's talk about something that doesn't confuse me. This is a little white mana dork that taps for white mana, but only for angel spells. It's a 2/2 flyer with vigilance, and each other angel you'll control enters with a +1/+1 counter on it, making them a little bit spicier, a little bit bigger. This thing's rad. It's a cool little mana dork. It was originally printed in New Capenna, but it got a reprint in Foundations, and it's got some cool alternate arts. Thank you, Ezekiel, for the follow. I appreciate it. I am BGM. I use green screen effects to make silly little Magic the Gathering content here on TikTok, and on lives, we do community deck building. If y'all have a suggestion for our Kaalia the Vast decks, we're playing Dragons, Angels, and Demons tonight. Put it in the chat, and if I talk about it, it'll get put into a Moxfield deck list, and you guys can see all the viewer suggestions by going to the link tree. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, and thank you, NoCore, for the follow. Let's talk about this Empyrean Storm. It's a 6 mana mono white sorcery, and when you cast a spell, copy it for each time you cast your commander from the game, and you make yourself a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying for each time you've cast your commander. Kaalia is going to draw a lot of removal because she slams down free bombs. Thank you, Golden Boy, for the follow. I appreciate it. Yeah, this thing's cool. We could do a token strategy if we really wanted to. If we wanted to go full synergy, I would make it a creature, though. Death by Dragons. Let's talk about Death by Dragons. Death by Dragons is not a card I'm familiar with. Death by Dragons. It's mono red. It's a sorcery. I don't recognize that set symbol. Maybe it's the OG Conspiracy set. It says that each player other than target player creates a 5/5 red dragon creature token. Cool. Okay, so if you want to be cool, if you want to be chill, if you want to make friends, play this thing. I don't know any player who plays Commander regularly who wouldn't just want a random flying 5/5 blocker. This thing's rad. It'll make you some friends. And it says, okay, so what I find super silly about Death by Dragons is that it says that you love everybody except for one player, which makes for really engaging play experiences, and really memorable ones too. Like, because if you pick the person, and like it's one of their first Commander games, they're going to remember that you didn't give them a dragon, and that's going to be a fun moment. Kaalia, oh yeah, because Kaalia got an updated version. Thank you, Red Lemming. I forgot about New Kaalia. New Kaalia is 3 mana, it's a 3/3, and it's got Flying and Vigilance. And whenever this thing enters the battlefield, look at the top 6 cards of your library, you can reveal one of our relevant creature types of the night from among them, and put them into your hand, and you put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This is cool. This is card advantage. It enters, and it gets you one of your things. Yeah, it does do it on an enter trigger, though. I don't know, this is easily the more popular Kaalia, because the trigger's repeatable, because it's on an attack trigger. And if you get multiple combats, you're going to get multiple triggers. Lewis, thank you so much for the follow. Swan Song. I'm sorry, Swan Song might not be in our color identity. If it's not in our color identity, guys, it won't come up. Staggerly Wiser, thank you very much for the follow. Mville says Ruinous Ultimatum. Ruinous Alt. Let's talk about a Ruinous Alt. Ruinous Ultimatum. It's 7 mana and every pip... Excuse me, it's 7 mana and all 7 of it are pips. So you need a lot of colored mana to be able to resolve this spell. It's a sorcery, it's $5, and it says destroy all non-land permanents that are not yours. It's rad, it's a one-sided board wipe. You normally cast this in the main phase that you're gonna win the game on. Excuse me, you normally cast this on the main phase of the turn you're gonna win the game on, and then you swing out once you've killed their blockers, and you won the game. Good job. This thing can end the game, but be mindful. You don't want to be running a bunch of lands that tap for nothing. You need 7 pips of colored mana to just resolve this thing. Alright, Miko. Thank you so much. I saw it earlier while I was typing something else in. Let's talk about Sarah's Emissary and how crazy it is to have it early in the game from a value perspective. Oh wait, no, I was thinking of something else. This card's amazing. This card has beaten me several times, and I bought a single of this, and I spent like $7 on it. I don't regret buying this card. I do want you guys to know, though, that newer players will probably find this unfun, because this 7-drop 7/7, when it enters the battlefield, you choose a card type, and you and creatures you control have protection from the chosen card type. If this thing enters, and you pick creatures, your creatures can't be dealt damage by creatures, and neither can you. Also, if the creature has an ability that targets, it can't target you because you have protection from creatures. When this thing enters, the person's going to say creatures first, and if this thing gets additional triggers, they're going to pick other things, like maybe instants, depending on your pod. This thing will win you the game, but it will feel very unfair to newer players in my experience, so just be mindful. Or be a douchebag. I don't know your lives. Shilgengar. Pup says Shilgengar. Shilgengar. Please be Pup, thank you, Pup. I really appreciate that you spelled this correctly for me. Here is Shilgengar. He's a 5-mana mono black demon 6/6 flyer printed in Modern Horizons 3. And he's actually an Orzhov commander because he has hybrid mana in his text box. And this thing has an activated ability where we can sacrifice a creature at instant speed, I might add, and you create a blood token. If the sacrificed creature was an angel, you create a number of blood tokens equal to its toughness instead. And I love this card, because you can pay 3 mana, sacrifice 6 blood tokens, and pop out everything from your graveyard onto the battlefield with finality counters on it. Finality counters mean that if it would die again, it gets exiled instead of getting put back in your graveyard, so that you can't keep popping it back out with Shilgengar. It's rad. And if you have a juicy graveyard, if it's been a long game and if we've seen a few board wipes, this thing will win you the game. I love it. I think it's rad. And also, it's 50 cents. It's got multiple versions of its art. I like it. I think it's a cool card. Vile Mutilator. Andrew says a Vile Mutilator. Hey everybody, if you have a suggestion for our Kaalia the Vast deck, please put it in the chat, y'all. You can see all the viewer suggestions on my Moxfield page, and y'all can get there via the link tree. This is Vile Mutilator. It's a 7-drop demon from Duskmourn, and it's a 6/5. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature or an enchantment. This thing itself has flying and also trample, and when it enters, each opponent sacrifices a non-token enchantment and a non-token creature. This thing does so much. This thing does a lot for a 40-cent uncommon. You do have to pay an additional cost to cast it, but if you're playing Kaalia the Vast, we're not going to cast the 7-drop. We're going to use Kaalia's attack triggers to slam it onto the battlefield for free. And then when we do that, we're going to be removing enchantments and creatures that are not tokens from our opponents. This card is rad. It's 40 cents, and it definitely... Excellent suggestion. It would make me sad to have it played against me in this way, but it's a great suggestion. Excellent. Bloodthirster. Bloodthirster's rad. I think it's a 40k card. Yeah, this card ends games. This card's $20, and I would tell you to play a proxy. I don't recommend paying more than $10 for a card if you're playing casually and you're not playing like in events. This thing's $20, but like if you are invested in the hobby, this card is worth $20 for the effect, and it will end games, and it will end them really fast. It's a flying tramply 6/6 for 6 mana, and when it deals combat damage to a player, we untaps it, and after this combat phase, there's an additional combat phase, and it can't attack a player and it's already attacked this turn. If you have an open airspace in your pod, meaning that there are no flying blockers to stop this thing, it's gonna like quadruple the amount of time. Excuse me. It's gonna cut by in a fourth the amount of time you need to win the game. This thing is crazy. It's also a demon, and Kaalia can pop it out for free. And when Kaalia pops it out for free, if it deals combat damage, it's gonna start that chain of extra combat steps initially. Does Kaalia have vigilance? No. Thank God Kaalia doesn't have vigilance, because if it could get all those combats, it would just pop out our entire hand. Garrett, thank you very much for the follow. Taborax. Taborax is our next viewer suggestion, and it's from Dream Demon. Taborax is a mono black 3-mana uncommon legendary 2/2 flyer from Commander Masters. Taborax has lifelink as long as it has 5 or more +1/+1 counters on it, and whenever another non-token creature you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Taborax. If the creature was a cleric, you may draw a card. If you do, you lose 1 life. My friend has a mono black CEDH Shadowborn Apostle deck, and he swaps the commander between Crick and Taborax, and they're both disgusting. I tell you what, they're both disgusting from a mono black CEDH standpoint. This thing's rad though. It's cool. It's great in a Shadowborn Apostle build. Roger Bullington, thank you for stopping by. Good to see you, Roger. Roger has also given me some excellent suggestions through doing content. Good to see you, Roger. Lifeline. Oh God, you're the one that keeps putting Lifeline in here. Okay, I'm only teasing. It's a 5-drop. It's an artifact. It's $20, which puts it in proxy territory for me. This thing says whenever a creature is put into a graveyard and a creature is in play, return that creature from your graveyard to play at the end of turn. Rad. So as long as you have 1 creature that survives, you're going to be able to get your creature back. Very cool. I think that's how it works. Roger, please correct me if I'm wrong. Garrett says Terror of Mount Varus. Terror of Mount Velis. Terror of Mount Velis. Oh, cool. Alright, we got a $2.50 rad Mohawk Dragon for 7 mana. It's a flying double striking 5/5, and whenever it enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain double strike until end of turn. 10 out of 10. It's amazing. It's so good. It works so good with Kaalia. Because of the triggered ability when it enters the battlefield, giving things double strike, that's amazing, because Kaalia is going to give it the ETB trigger. It itself has double strike, so it can hit for 10 damage the turn it comes out. It's so good. It's so good. And it's budget at $3. Excellent suggestion. I really like this one. Duelist Heritage is a rad little enchantment. I really like Duelist Heritage, and you might be thinking that it's a little unexciting in a Kaalia deck, but let me give it a little explaining. It's a 3-mana mono-white enchantment for $1. Whenever 1 or more creatures attack, you may have target attacking creature gain double strike until end of turn. The thing that's very spicy and exciting to me about Duelist Heritage is it triggers on your opponent's turns. So if something is attacking, I don't know, anybody but us, we'll give it double strike, and it'll do work for us. I love Duelist Heritage. It's really fun, and it forces your opponents to think about you and make decisions in that way. And also to talk to you. It's a good time. It's also $1. I like it a lot. I recommend it. It makes good play experiences with your friends. Garrett says Dragon Tempest. So we talked about Dragon Tempest about an hour ago. It's a 2-mana mono red enchantment, and it says whenever a creature with flying enters the battlefield under control, it gains haste. So I actually didn't realize the first time that I read Dragon Tempest tonight. I thought it was just dragons that gain haste, but no, it's all creatures with flying. So it is, in fact, just maybe the best card in the deck, because, I don't know, dragons fly, angels fly, and also demons fly. So everything's going to be having haste. And whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under control, it deals X damage to target creature or player. Target creature or player, where X is the amount of dragons in control. It's excellent. Full Metal Bastard, all caps, says Aggravated Assault. Aggravated Assault is a great way to end a game. Aggravated Assault is a 3-mana mono red enchantment with an activated ability for 5 mana that gives you an additional combat. It's $10. It's great. It's if you pay the mana into this, it'll take half the amount of time to win the game. because we're going to be doing all our damage during combat, because we are a combat-based deck. We are a creature-based deck, baby. Alright, guys, we have been going for an hour and 15, so I am going to take 5 more suggestions and call it a night. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. Our number 5 is from Corbin, and it's going to be Reconnaissance. If you are new to my content, I am BiggerGayerMagic. I use green screen effects to make silly little Magic the Gathering videos here on TikTok and on lives. I do community deck building. We talked about Kaalia the Vast. And if you want to see any of the cards that we talked about on this live, you can check out my Moxfield page, and y'all can get to the Moxfield page via the link tree. This is Reconnaissance, and it's excellent in our Kaalia deck because this thing lets us remove things from combat for free and also untap them. Kaalia needs to attack to get the trigger to slam down the free creature. And if we want to be popping out our free 8-drops, we need Kaalia to attack. And Kaalia is only a 2/2. If they have like a flying 3/3, it's not safe for Kaalia to attack. Unless we got Reconnaissance. Because we can pay nothing and remove a Kaalia from combat. And Kaalia triggers on attack. She doesn't trigger on damage. So even if we remove her from combat with Reconnaissance, we're still going to get her trigger. Reconnaissance is an excellent card in this deck. That is our number 5. Our number 4 from Emil is going to be Ishin, 2 Heavens is 1. So we talked about Ishin, 2 Heavens is 1, so we're not going to count it towards our live. We're just going to talk about it one more time because it's just a juicy card. It says that we get double attack triggers. It's really relevant in Kaalia because Kaalia's trigger to pop down a free creature is an attack trigger. And our next suggestion, which is going to be our number 4, is going to come in from Garrett, and it's Lightning Greaves. We need to protect Kaalia to get to, like, just do what our deck does. Our deck is stuffed with big, spicy, like, 8 and 9 drops, and Kaalia pops them out for free on attack trigger. So she is going to draw all the removal. She's going to draw all the removal, especially if your friends have played with this, have played against your Kaalia deck before. Because Kaalia can do heinous things. Why can I not spell Lightning Greaves? Lightning Greaves is our number 4 pick of the night, suggested by Garrett. Thank you so much for the gifts, Garrett. It's a 2-mana artifact equipment with equip 0, and it says the equipped creature's got haste and it's got shroud. It can't be the target of spells or abilities with shroud. This includes spells or abilities that we control. If we want to interact with our own creatures, we do have to take their shoes off. And our number 3 suggestion... Oh, Kaalia Glow's here. Good to see you. You have a Kaalia deck as well? Yeah, a lot of people have been putting in that they have Kaalia decks. Kaalia is one of the most popular commanders. Alright, our number 3 is from Full Metal Bastard, and is Aurelia the War Leader. Aurelia the War Leader. Unkindly Hawk, thank you so much for the follow. Aurelia the War Leader is the quintessential Boros commander. It is 4 pips, 2 of them red, 2 of them white, and then 2 generic. It is 6 mana, it's flying, vigilance, and haste, and it's a 3/4. And whenever this thing attacks for the first time each turn, we get to attack again. And this is super significant for Kaalia, because Kaalia does its thing on the attack trigger. And if we have multiple combats, we're going to get multiple attack triggers. We're going to be slamming out multiple free creatures. Excellent suggestion. That's our number 3. Thank you, Full Metal Bastard. Seraph. Okay. Seraph. I'm sorry I keep calling you Dread Demon. Dream Demon, thank you so much for all the banger suggestions tonight. We are going to find Seraph. Here's Seraph. Alright, I don't know why, but this art makes me uncomfortable. It's a little bit, I don't know, is anyone else uncomfortable by its face? It looks like it knows what we did. It looks like it's accusing it of something. It's 60 cent, and it's a 7-mana angel. It's a 4/4, and at the end of turn, oh my god, it's small text. I gotta move it so I can read it. At the end of turn in which any creature is damaged by this and put into a graveyard, put that creature directly into play under your control. And you sacrifice it if you lose control of Seraph. So if this thing can kill stuff, you get the things it kills. So that's why this thing is making uncomfortable eye contact. It's because it's murdering things and stuffing their bodies. I hate this thing's face. I'm gonna feel like a real a-hole if this is based off a real person and like this is our memorial card. There are quite a lot of those in this game. But I don't know, it just looks like it's looking at us like, I know something, like, it looks like it knows what we did. Like, it's very cheeky. That is our number 2 pick. Dancing Plague. Alright. K-Sloth, thank you so much for the follow. It looks like it tells me at the family reunion that it changed my diapers, but you don't even know them. Honestly, we're gonna go back. Because that really is the vibe. That is such the vibe. Yeah, so it looks like you're a strange aunt who you've met once in your life as an adult who tells you that they changed your diapers. And you're like, you don't even know them. That's this face. Who typed it? K-Sloth. K-Sloth, thank you very much for the funniest comment of the night. I appreciate it, K-Sloth. Alright, we need our last suggestion. Alright, we did Skyblade a few minutes ago, so we're going to do Timna the Weaver. Timna the Weaver is our last card of the night. Alright, Timna the Weaver is an excellent little partner card printed in the Atraxa Precon. It is a 3-mana Orzhov human cleric 2/2 with lifelink. And at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you can pay X life, where X is the number of opponents that were dealt combat damage this turn. And if you do, you draw that many cards. It's great. It's a CDH staple. It's a good card. And we really need card advantage with Kaalia because we specifically need cards in our hand because Kaalia's trigger puts the demons, it puts the dragons, the angels, and the demons from our hand on the battlefield. Alright guys, that is going to be it from me tonight. I want to thank you guys so much for all the suggestions. I really appreciate it. So for the last time tonight, I'm BiggerGayerMagic. I use green screen effects to make silly little MTG TikToks. And on lives, we do community deck building. Tonight, we built Kaalia the Vast with viewer suggestions. And if you want to see any of the cards that I talked about tonight, y'all can check out the Moxfield page and y'all can get there via the link tree. Since TikTok is likely going to be banned, if you had a good time chatting with me tonight, if you had a good time vibing, please follow me on other platforms. Those are also in the link tree. I hope you guys all have a great night. Take care.